So that concept, it will give a better application of this course in electronics and communication. So that would be last part of this module. And in next module, we will discuss orthogonality. That one is very interesting concept. I will discuss in detail, and you will get a lot of application. Due to that, your linear algebra tool, it will increase and it will get a maximum use of these concepts further there in many various courses like machine learning or control theory or even signal processing. Those kind of courses, you will see a lot of application of this linear algebra a lot. I think everywhere you can find, if you want to read anything in a systematic way, you need to know linear algebra, whether it is a programming or whether it is a whatever course is there. So are you able to see the slide? Anyone respond?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Then I'm
Hello,
going.
sir.
Yes.
Sir, in yesterday's quiz, there was one question where two answers were correct.
Okay. You can opt for any one correct answer. There is no issue. Intentionally, I had
Okay.
given two answers. So
Okay.
I think Google, someone informed that Google form had some issue that it was not giving both options. So it is not problem from my side. It was problem from Google form. So I will see that problem again. But there is no issue if you have opted a, any of those two correct answer. It would be fine. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then I'm going to start today's class. So today we will discuss about very important concept of this module. That one we are calling it four fundamental subspace of a matrix. So all about here subspaces will be confined to just matrix. So there would be only four variety of subspaces, and through these four variety of subspaces, we can uh, discuss a lot about fundamental theorem of linear algebra. So whatever fundamental theorem is associated with one course or one kind of subject, it means that that fundamental theorem finds maximum application. So here the fundamental theorem of the linear algebra, it will have three parts: part one and part two and part three. So the module two, it is giving information about part one and part two. It is not giving information about part three. So in order to understand part three, we will able to discuss this part three part of the model fundamental theorem in module three. Once we will have enough knowledge of orthogonality, that time we will clear this part three part. So today I will discuss about part one and part two along with four fundamental subspecies. Coming to outline of my today's lectures, outlines are the following. First, I would like to discuss about dimension of a subspecies, because we had already seen subspecies, two important kind of subspecies. Because if we are having a linear transformation or corresponding associated matrix, then always we can define two subspecies: image of A and kernel of A. And kernel of A is having a new name, that null of A, because every element of kernel of A, it nullify due to when you apply of uh, matrix or transformation over X. So another name of this one, that's why you can represent this one by null of A. These are different representation, not more than that. And similarly, image of A, what does it looks? You had already seen during several steps to find image of a matrix or image of a transformation. It was just spanning of column of the matrix. So you can say that column a space of A. That means image of A is coming from linear, all possible linear combination of the column of A. So we will just giving different name of the same subspace what we had already studied. So now onward, image of A, we will denote it by column space of A. That means a linear combination of all possible linear combination of column of A, and the kernel of A, we will call it null space of A. That means a collection of all the elements which map to zero. That means pre-image of zero. So that is the concept, and there we will introduce dimension. Now, after once we will cover this, we will go to discuss about four fundamental subspaces of a matrix. and if time permit, then I will go to fundamental theorem of linear algebra in 3 different parts. I will just introduce part 3, but I will discuss in detail about part 1 and part 2, because we are having enough concept and knowledge information so that we can understand and discuss these 2 parts. Now coming to dimension, what is dimension? It is just in a simple way. Once you, what is algorithm? So if you are having a matrix, then find subspace. So algorithm for dimension of a subspace is find first subspace, then go to find basis of subspace. Then find basis of that subspace, then count number of element in that basis. So number of element in that basis, that would be a dimension of the underlying subspace. So find basis. Then count number of element in the basis. So how many vectors are there in basis? Those vectors also we can call in short basis vector. So number of element in basis. In basis short notation, you can call it, I had already mentioned that I will give name beta. So number of element in beta. So this is the algorithm to find dimension of any given subspace. So there are 3 steps. So we consider a subspace, subspace in R3. Simply call it, or simply a plane in Rn. Even you can call it. So once you are calling it plane, what does it say that? So basis of plane, it is a set of 2 linearly independent spanning vector. Linearly independent. Remember that basis of a subspace, it happens to be, consider simply you can call it, consider a subspace V in subspace. And I'm going for generic notation. Subspace V in Rn. Then basis of this subspace V, it is a set of or collection of linearly independent. Linearly, remember that, independent and spanning vectors which we are taking from V itself, and which is what is that? That basis, another way you can say that basis, it is a collection or set of minimal spanning vectors from V. A spanning means that you take a linear combination of, suppose your basis is beta, you are denoting by beta, and it is containing vectors like few vector it is containing. Suppose R number of vector it is containing from V, V1, V2, V3 up to VR, like that way. So in that category, what you say that this beta is the minimal spanning set for subspace V. That means if you take all possible linear combination, what does mean minimal? That means minimal means if you remove one element. Suppose you are removing this VR or V1, whatever it is. If you remove at least one element, then this beta is not going to beta minus V. So you removing, you always denote it by beta is a set of this R vector. If you remove V1, suppose your first vector you are removing, and remaining set you will denote it by beta minus V1. So this set is not going to span V. It is meaning of a spanning set. A spanning, minimal spanning. Minimal word. Minimal means if you remove at least one vector from the beta, then it is not going to span V. So So that's why a basis must be a minimal spanning set or minimal spanning vectors from V, which means remove any vector from this collection and it is no longer a spanning set. Similarly, a basis you can call it, it is a collection of maximal linearly independent vector. What does it mean? It means that if you add any extra vector to this beta collection of vector, then this set is no longer a linearly independent set. Maximal linearly independent. That means upper bound. If you add anything, it becomes linearly independent. So that is the concept. So a basis must be what? Minimal spanning set as well as maximal linearly independent set. That is the criteria of being a basis. So it is a recap of basis. So once we are having a basis of a subspace, we will discuss about dimension of a subspace. What is dimension? So we consider again a subspace, all general name subspace, because plane is in R3 plane is a subspace. Fine, everywhere plane is a subspace. R2 in R3 and R4, whatever else you will get, go there, if, except R. So consider a plane V or a subspace V in R3. Then what is it? Using geometrical intuition, we observe that all bases of V contain two non-collinear vector. So if you are having a plane, what is meaning of plane? Simply it says that you are having two non-collinear direction. That's why you are getting a plane. If there is only one vector, one direction, then you will get a line. But if you are having two directions which are non-collinear to each other, then definitely you are having a planar movement. So that's why plane is having two non-collinear directions. So that's why every basis of a plane in R3 contains this kind of approach you can observe. So contains two vectors. So what does it here? So what is invariant with respect to different bases of plane in R3? Invariant is 2. So we can say that all bases of subspace in R3, that plane subspace in R3 consists of the same number of vectors. So that's why it is invariant with respect to different bases. So this invariant number, we are calling it dimension of the subspace. So we will calculate dimension of subspace, discuss dimension of subspace in further. So dimension of a subspace, we denote it by DIM of V, short name, it is a dimension of subspace. I will take few examples. If you consider a subspace V of n dimensional equivalent space with dimension k, what does it mean? It says that we can find at most k maximal linearly independent vector in V if dimension of a subspace is k. Also, we need at least k minimal spanning vector to span V. If k vectors in V are linearly independent, then definitely they can form a basis of V. Like if k vector in V span, then they also form basis of V. So I will go to find a few example here. So finding dimension of dimension, first find basis, subspace, then find basis, then find dimension. So we consider a matrix. So we come across to first find, we are finding kernel. So kernel, to find kernel, it is now very much common to us. We have already calculated several kernel of a matrix. So kernel of the matrix will have these element as a basis element. These are the W1, W2. These are the basis of kernel of this matrix. So how many elements you observe in the basis of the kernel of a 3? So dimension of, so a step we are doing it. So so that's why count number of basis element in the kernel of A. So how many that are 3? So that's why dimension of kernel of A, it would be 3. it would be always 3. If you change basis, then there is no issue. This number will not change. It is invariant with respect to any kind of change. So dimension of this kernel subspace, it is 3. So here step 2, I had already discussed this process, and from zero component, it is a process of finding kernel. Once you are having kernel of that given matrix, so in kernel count number of, so this set, set contains this one is W1, this one is W2, this is W3. So kernel of A containing 3 linearly independent vectors. So that's way dimension of this kernel is what? It is 3. Similarly, we will find dimension of image of A. So what is the process of finding first? First step is we have to find the image of A. So how you find? We list the columns of the given matrix in a proper order. So we did listing in step 1. Then what we are doing? We are trying to identify which are redundant column. So V2 is redundant. You can easily see that in this matrix V2 is redundant, and V4 is also redundant. Why? Because V4 you are able to write as a 3 times V1 minus 4 times V3, and V5 is also redundant. So we need to exclude these from the list in order to get basis of the image of A. So what is the basis of image of this matrix? This we got the basis of image of this matrix is this. So how many elements it contains? It contains 2 elements, V1 and first one is V1 and second one is V3. So how many? There are 2 elements. That's why dimension of this image subspace is 2. Just count number of elements in the basis. It is all about finding basis. Once you got the basis of a subspace, easily you can get dimension of that subspace. There is no much difficulty in finding dimension of the subspace. Much difficulty it will come in establishing subspace or finding subspaces and the corresponding basis. So what is the technique to find the dimension of a basis? So what you do, you can apply RREF to construct a basis, and from there you can get to know dimension. So procedure I have already written here. It is a systematic approach to construct basis of a image. Pick the column vector of A that correspond to pivot column. So first you are having a matrix A, then apply elementary operation and get a RREF form of the row reduced equivalent form of this matrix. From there, easily you can find the dimension of subspaces or dimension of image. So apply that and then just count number of pivot column that will represent your dimension. So again, here 3 main points that we will do it here. So what are those points? So what non-redundant columns vector image of A. The redundant column of A corresponding to those column of RREF of A which are having non-pivot column, which are against non-pivot column. So non-redundant are against. Redundant means it implies simply redundant column means non-pivot columns. Pivot column in RREF. So in RREF you can visualize everything. The non-redundant column vector of RREF are pivot columns of the matrix. Pivot column of the matrix. So associated. So suppose you are having a matrix like this way, and you are having column this one is V1 and V2, V3 like this way up to VM. You are going up to VM, and then you are applying row reduced echelon form, and due to the row reduced echelon form, what you are getting? You are getting few pivot column. So E1 is pivot column, then E2 second column, call it C2. C2 is not pivot column, or simply R2, call it R2, that means redundant column. And then E3 is again a pivot column. Likewise, you will come across at last, suppose RM is also not a pivot column. So you are getting this kind of structure in RREF. This is the structure in RREF. So from here also you can construct. This is you can say that T1 is associated with what? V1. So you can say that your V1 is the it is associated with pivot column. So you can take it V1 in basis. When you will construct basis, so basis will contain V1, but it will not contain V2. Why? V2 is associated with redundant. V2 is redundant, associated with redundant column or non-pivot column in row reduced echelon form. So V2 will not come, but V3 will come. V2 will not come. So V1 will come, then V3 will come. Why? Because V3 is associated with pivot column in RREF. Similarly, likewise, you will get your basis of the corresponding image. So this is the process to find basis of an image directly from RREF. So similarly, what is the dimension of image and kernel? So in another way, also we can write in term of rank as well. So if we consider a matrix M by N matrix A, then dimension of A, we had already seen that it is spanned by columns of corresponding matrix. So what is happening? It just reduced to linearly independent column of the matrix. So that's way dimension of image of A, you can call it number of linearly independent column of A. Similarly, that number of linearly independent column, it is matches with number of pivot columns in RREF that I had already discussed in previous slide. So what does this define? So number of pivot columns in RREF of a matrix, that during the first module we had introduced a term that we are calling it rank of the matrix. So dimension of image of A, we can say that it is equal to rank of the matrix. So one interesting concept you have already come across, that if you willing to find dimension of image subspace, what would be that? It would be rank of the matrix because of the definition. So this that's everything I have already written. Now we try to establish what how can we directly find dimension of a kernel subspace. Kernel subspace of A. So dimension of kernel subspace of A, what does it is talking about? So you might have already seen that when you are finding kernel of the matrix, that time what we do? So we try to solve this linear relation E times alpha equal to 0, homogeneous equation. So it is associated with free variable. So what is it? When you are solving this system of equation, then you always try to look for free variable. So that's why dimension of a kernel space of a matrix, it happens to be number of free variables. So how many number of free variable you observe? So suppose your kernel happens to be what? It happens to, you consider as a transformation or linear transformation from Rn to Rm. Then dimension kernel of a matrix, it happens to be subspace of domain space Rn. So that's way how many is here, how many variable in total you observe here in alpha, you observe m in n variable. We have expressed all those term of, so that's way now is number of dependent variable is RREF. Number of freeness, what is number of pivot column in RREF, that we are calling it rank in this here we have already seen that. So that's way dimension of n minus dimension of image subspace of A. So there is a very good relation between dimension of kernel of A and dimension of image of A. So this relation is we are calling it. That means you can say that dimension of kernel of A plus dimension of image of A, it is equal to n. What is n? N is the dimension of the domain of space Rn, and this property we are calling it Sylvester law. Somehow this law or this result, it is associated. It is defining part one of fundamental theorem of linear algebra in different form. I will discuss that different form once for fundamental subspaces will cover. So right now, call just it is just associated with part one of fundamental theorem of linear algebra. So this law we are calling it Sylvester law. You should remember always that through geometry and whatever else. So dimension, if you sum dimension of kernel of A and dimension of image of A, it will be equal to dimension of domain space of A. So here we have taken one matrix. So what is the image? Then again using same procedure to find image of A. So you can observe that this is the image of A. That means linear span of these two linearly independent column vectors. And again we will find kernel of A. Kernel of A, it happens to be linear span of these three linearly independent vector. Then what is the dimension of okay, what was the in previous example? What was the dimension of image? So dimension of image was dimension of image. It was 2 because there were only two vectors. So dimension of image was 2 and dimension of kernel was 3. Dimension of kernel of A, it was 3. And what is matrix? Matrix was a linear transformation from where to where. It was 4 by 5 matrix. That's why it was a linear transformation R5 to is equal to dimension of kernel, it is 3, dimension of image is 2. So 3 plus 2. So this is the Sylvester law. So if you consider orthogonal projection and, into a plane in R3, then here dimension of the domain is what? 3, because your domain is R3. And what will happen under this projection of operator? One dimension, it will collapse and it will form the kernel, and that one is, it is a line, and this line happens to be perpendicular to to V is what? Image space of. So it is a self mapping. So easily projection between a perpendicular nature between kernel and image space you can observe. Image subspace, and you can observe that because this projection it is a self mapping. That means transformation from R3 to R3. So here you can observe that so V verb, it denotes perpendicular to V. So there is a relation between kernel of T and image of T. What is that? These two are perpendicular to each other. And also you can observe this kind of pattern scenario that what is dimension of domain space? It is 3. What is the dimension of kernel? It is a line, so dimension is 1. Dimension of image, it is 2. So if you subtract dimension of kernel from the dimension of domain of space, then you will get dimension of image subspace. So this is the relation. Same Sylvester law, you can call it. So I'm coming to discuss in detail regarding four fundamental subspecies. So all these are even those are specific subspecies what we had already discussed. So coming to four fundamental subspecies of A, so we consider a rectangular matrix M by N. What is meaning of rectangular? When size M is not equal to N, we are calling it a rectangular matrix. When M equal to N, we are calling it a square matrix. So that is the, it is just implied from the geometry. Consider a rectangular matrix M by N, then we can define the following four fundamental subspace. What are those? So one, it is a column or space of A transpose. That means A transpose what? If you are having matrix A and you transpose it, so what is the what are the column of the A transpose? Column of the A transpose are actually row of the A transpose. So that's way you can call column space of A transpose as a row space of A, row space of A, because we are very much it is very much obvious to calculate column space because it happens to be image of a matrix. So that's why it looks very easier to calculate the column space. That's why we are writing rows of A as a column of A transpose, and here we are calling finding column space of A transpose. So actually that one is the row space of A. It is your first subspace, first fundamental subspace of a matrix. And where would be column space of A transpose? It would be a subspace of Rn. Now, secondly, find column space of A. That means uh, linear span of column of A. So what does it give? It is another way we had seen this one. It is image of A, and where it would be? It would be target space in Rm. It is a subspace of target space in Rm. Similarly, we will define null space or kernel space of A. What does it uh, give? It is containing all the element which nullify due to A. That means the element from null space or kernel space is mapped to 0 under A. So again, null space of A, it happens to be a subspace of domain space Rn. You remember that these are very minor detail you need to know. There is one more null space that because we had already seen that A and then A transpose, then there is one more null space. It is calling it null space of A transpose. So just for the sake of simplicity to differentiate from null space, we are calling this one left null space, because it I will give a geometrical picture of direction why left is coming there. So we are calling it a null space of left null space of A, or simply we can call it null space of A transpose. So if you want to associate this one with A, so you will call it left null space of A. And if you just want to associate with A transpose, you can call it null space of A transpose. So it happens to be a subspace in target space Rn. Here I have taken a very simple example 2 by 2 matrix having first column 1 3, second column 2 6. Then how can you find these four fundamental subspaces? So these are very simple. So first find column space of A transpose. That means you are having A this one, and what is A transpose? A transpose just you are how you will get A transpose making row of A as a column of A transpose. That means row of A are having entries 1 2. So column would be first column of A transpose would be 1 2, and second column of A transpose it would be 3 6. So this is your A transpose. So now we have to find a column space of A transpose, or simply you can call it image of A transpose. Both are so it is a linear span of a linear span of column of A transpose. So what we observe that, so again we have to put in you have to go for systematic approach. You list the element of this one as a vector. So first column as a first vector v1, second column, and what you observe that v2 is what? It is a linear combination of v1. That means v2 is equal to 3 times v1. So you can say that your this column v2 is redundant. So you need, so in the image of A transpose, v2 will not come, only a2 will come. So that's why column space of A transpose is just a linear combination of vector 1 2, and it is just a vector linear combination of vector 1 2. What does it give? It give a line, and this also you can say that it is a row space of A. Similarly, calculate column space of A. So again, you look here, in order to calculate column space of A, you have to put column of A in a proper ordering, V1 and V2. And what you observe that V1 is 1 3 and V2 is 2 3. So that means V3 is what, 2 times of V1. You observe it here, V2 equal to 2 times of V1. So that's way this column is redundant in order to find column space of A or image of A. Column space of A, you can call it, it is image of A. Now, so it would be just a linear span of 1 3. Again, what would be? It is a linear span of one vector. It says that column space of A, it is a line in R2. Now, you will find null space of A. What is null space of A? That means we are finding the solution of this homogeneous equation. That means you write V1 times our relation homogeneous equation, or this we try to solve this homogeneous equation or relation v1 times alpha 1 times v1 plus alpha 2 times v2 equal to 0, and we try to find value of alpha 1 alpha 2. These are the variable here. So you are writing like this way: V, capital V is a matrix, alpha is having entry alpha 1 and alpha 2. If you solve, then what you will get here, you will get that your null space is nothing, it is a line with direction this one. That means null space is a linear combination of this single vector 2 minus 1. So it is a null space of A or kernel of A. Similarly, you can find null space of A or kernel of A transpose. So find kernel of A transpose, it happens to be a line with direction 3 minus 1. So you call it kernel of A transpose. And this one is kernel of A. So these things we had already seen enough idea. That's why I discussed those things in detail. And you know all those, then easily you can calculate all these 4 fundamental subspace of a matrix. Always you can able. So I will give a geometry of these 4. So what are the geometry? So now here this you call it here matrix is 2 by 2. So you can call it is a square matrix. A square matrix always happens to be a self-mapping matrix. So it is a matrix from, it is a transformation from R2 to R2. Okay, R2 to R2. So what you observe that your domain space is also R2 and your target space is also R2. So where in domain space, what you observe? Domain space you observe your null space. Null space of a matrix always happens to be subspace of a domain space. So this is in domain space. Call it domain space. Or simply call it domain. A space is a nice word here because you are studying linear algebra, so a space word looks better. And this one is the target space. But both are same. Just for the sake of simplicity I have written. Now, Here null space, it is a subspace of domain space. Similarly, raw space or column space of A transpose, it also happens to be, it is containing row of linear combination of row of it row of A. So that's why it happens to be subspace of domain space. And you can easily observe that null space is always perpendicular to row space of A transpose, or a row space of A, or column space of A transpose. So null space always perpendicular to row space of A. Similarly, if you come across right hand side, what you observe, column space, this is the column space as a linear combination of this vector, and the left null space, or simply you can call it null space of A transpose, it is linear combination of this vector. And here you observe that both are again perpendicular to each other. That means left null space or null space of A transpose is perpendicular to column space of A. So this relation you observe that. So what does it give? It gives a very interesting idea. If you are taking any vector x in domain, then this vector can be written as a sum of two orthogonal vector. That means one is coming from call it one is coming from null, call it row space of A, another is coming from column space of A. So x, if you're taking any general point, suppose x is here, any general point x, then you can always project, you can decompose your project into two parts. So one projection, it will come across, this is the projection along row space in the row, or simply a projection in the row space. And if you project particularly here, so this is the projection in null space. So that's why x can be written as sum of x row and x null. Orthogonal, you observe here orthogonal decomposition of a vector in term of null space, element from null space and row space. So this, similarly, if you take any element from target space, and we are very much we know that element in target space always we denote it by y, element in a domain space we denote it by x, and element in target space, or what is output, another name output space also you can call it, we denote it generally by y. So that's way, if you take any vector y in target space or output space, then you can always project that orthogonally these in two parts. So this one is the projection along left null space, and you can project further this one. So this is the projection along column space. So y, if you are taking any general point from y from the target space, then you can write this one as uh, y call, that means projection of y in the column space plus projection of y in the left null space. So call it L null. That means left null space, like this relation. So always it is possible to see this kind of relation decomposition. So it is always these four fundamental subspace of a matrix, it provide a decomposition of domain space and target space. That if you are having decomposition, then you will get a better feeling of domain space, and easily you can visualize a element from the domain space, also from the target space. So in next class I will discuss. It is already 45 minutes. In next class I will discuss in detail regarding four fundamental theorem and different part of fundamental theorem of linear algebra, and we will explain these things. Part one, a matrix. If you are having any doubt, then you can ask. Otherwise, today's class is over. Regarding attendance, I have already created a link. You go and mark your attendance there. Any question, any doubt? If you are having, then you are welcome. You can ask. Otherwise, I'm going to wind up today's class.